Before we begin, a gentle note. This episode includes stories of pregnancy complications and infant loss. If that's something tender for you right now, please know you're not alone, and it's okay to listen when you feel ready.
You're like in shock, you know? You're just like what the heck just happened?
Yeah.
So you're like in not in denial, but you're just like, did that just happen? Like that? Like it feels like it's like an out of body experience.
Mm-hmm. That's Jody. And alongside her is Jen. Both women endured years of infertility, finally saw their long-awaited pregnancies, and then faced the unthinkable, losing their babies.
The only title I've ever wanted was mom. And I know I have that title, but I don't have a baby in my arms to show it. You know, I have scars in my heart and in my stomach and in my body. And
in this conversation, they open up about the pain of infant loss and the strength they found to keep going.
So God just like showed up when I needed him most. My faith and my husband's faith and just us staying super close together.
I accepted the fact that like I had to like wait this long. I accepted the fact that I had to use donor eggs. I accepted the fact she was going to have a heart condition, like, and then like she's gone. And like the more that I've gone through this is truly, I feel like, the reason, you know, to know that like there is hope and that grief, joy, and hope can coexist.
So whether you're walking through loss, supporting someone who is, or simply searching for light in the darkest season, you'll find comfort and courage here. Let's dive in. Well, Jody and Jen, thank you guys so much for being here. I am just so grateful that you guys are going to share your story with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
No, of course. Okay, so just to start out, can each of you share just a little bit about your journey, just what led you to using donor eggs as a way that you were going to grow your family?
I mean, we started our journey, I was 33. So I found I had low ovarian reserve at 33. So we did like 5 IUIs. We did 1 egg retrieval. We got like 3 embryos, but they were all abnormal. So, you know, I took breaks in between all these fertility treatments. And then, I think my doctor mentioned it, like when our 3 embryos were abnormal, like, oh, we'll come back and we'll do donor eggs. And I'm like, donor eggs? Like I'm not, like, never say never, right?
Yeah.
And so then, like some years went by and then I was like, you know what, let me look into that. Like, I wonder if you can see pictures of the donors. And so I was kind of curious. I was looking into it. And then I have a psychology background. So I was like, let me see how donor conceived children feel about that. So then I was researching that. And I kind of felt like that wasn't a good idea because what I was finding was that donor conceived children were upset. But I think it's because I was finding donor conceived children who were not told until later in their life.
Yeah.
So I realized that if you tell them when they're younger, it's a way better outcome for them.
Early and often.
Yes. And then I found Victoria Nino's Fertility Unfiltered. And I took one of her series on donor conception. And that really helped me in my process.
Yeah, that's amazing that you were looking at the whole child, the whole person at just so early on, because I think I know a lot of parents that I talk to, it really is that process of you kind of get in that, you know, kind of just tunnel of like, I'm trying to have a baby. The goal is to have a baby. And we're just thinking about how are we going to get that positive pregnancy test? And that's amazing that you were looking beyond like, okay, if I do take this route, what does that mean for said person?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that's how I kind of got into the whole donor egg idea and then moving forward with that. I just loved Victoria Nino's story on Instagram and like how she described her bond with her daughter Flo. And I was like, you know what, let's do that. Let's try that. And my husband was on board. And so that's how we moved forward with that.
That's beautiful. What about you, Jen?
So actually, with me, I was married many, many, many years ago, previously, and I had, towards the end of our marriage, I was trying to get pregnant. Nothing was working. And I realized we did several IUIs, nothing happened. We wind up getting divorced at 35. I thought that was the hardest thing in my life I had to go through at that time. So I packed up my bags and moved to New York City, thinking I was like, I want to move to the hardest city in the world and make it. I wound up meeting my husband, and who's amazing, and he's great. But from the second I met him, I'm like, I want kids. I knew my biological clock was ticking. And I remember when I was going to the fertility doctor before, when I was married, I remember them saying, oh, you have a ton of eggs. Are you ready to get pregnant? Every time I did the IUI, and nothing ever happened. And then when I started dating my husband, and we went to NYU to start going to fertility clinics just to like get things checked. My egg count was like 2 or 3, like each session. We actually started like right away. And when I was in NYU, I can't even tell you how many starting IVF cycles. And the thing is, with NYU, they wouldn't retrieve unless you had more than 3 eggs. And I was not producing more than that. So, and also too, I just felt like a number there. So then I transferred, I found this other fertility clinic, and we went there, and I felt like they knew my name. They knew, like, they wanted to know like more about me. And we again tried countless PRP treatments, fibroid removals, IVF cycles. Even with the 3 eggs that I was producing, nothing would make it past PGS testing. And all I wanted was a baby. And mind you, I was 41 at this time. So I was just like, I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, I have such a desire to have like children. And my doctor was still willing to go through more IVF cycles. He's like, it only just takes 1. But my body wasn't like, I was just like, I don't know how many more rounds I can do this with, like disappointment after disappointment. So I actually looked into donor eggs and spoke to him about it. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me about this before? I searched. I was like, we could have stopped half of this like already. But, you know, I think everything has a reason and why it happened the way it did. And I searched up donor. I didn't do as much research as Jody in the sense of like, how would a child feel? I was just like, so I guess selfish in the sense of like, I just want a baby. I'm like, and my husband, he had 2 kids previously. And at that time, they were 4 and 5. And he was just like, he didn't want to adopt because he knew like the struggle of the kids. Even, you know, he was like, I would rather just have one parent, like one of us at least biologically attached, you know, to the child. I was open to adoption, but he just didn't want to. And I wanted to carry so bad. And I wanted to know what it felt like to see a positive sign. I wanted to know what it felt like to feel a baby kick. I wanted all those feelings. So I was actually very excited that he was on board for the donor eggs. I tried to take Victoria's class, but every time work kind of just got in the way and I wasn't able to. I did like the first 2 sessions, but I dove deep into just all of her posts, and I was fully on board. I'm like, I can do this. I'm like, there's epigenetics. Like, she's gonna have so much character of mine. You know, I was very excited to see like what would, you know, transpire with this, and I thought it was an opportunity given my my eggs.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert, you guys, you know, both did at one point see that positive pregnancy test. What was that feeling after just all of the ups and downs and the roller coaster? What was that moment like after everything you had been through?
For me, I was just like, thank God the first transfer worked, because I was like already 10 years in with like fertility drugs and like all the things. And I was like, we still had more embryos, like if that transfer wasn't successful, but I was like, thank God the first one worked. And I was like, and my body can do this. Like, I just needed a good egg. And so I was like, okay, like, thank God it accepted the embryo and it implanted. So I was just like excited to start, like that it was beginning, that I didn't have to like start again from the very, you know, ground zero.
Yeah. Did you let yourself really believe that it was happening, or was it sort of like a hesitation?
I was like, no, this is happening. This is super
It was
cool.
instant.
Yeah.
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 Oh, I love that. What about you, Jen?
So my first transfer didn't work, but my second transfer worked. And I remember I'll never forget this moment. It was actually Mother's Day of last year. Um, I had my transfer that Monday, and that Sunday was Mother's Day. And I just prayed to God. I was like, God, if you can do anything. I had no symptoms. I didn't feel anything. Like, I was fine. I was like, this is not in my head. Like, I just didn't feel pregnant, and I didn't think it was going to work because it just never has worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, God, if you can do anything, can you just let me see a plan? And I remember waking up at 3 a.m. I had one test left in my house, and I took it not thinking I was going to see it. And when I flipped it over and I saw pregnant, I was shaking. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I woke up my husband at like 3 a.m. I'm like, babe, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, you're going to be a dad. He's like, I'm already a dad. I'm like, no. Like, you're going to be a dad again. I was like, I'm pregnant. I was like, I could not believe I was pregnant. And he was like, what time is it? I'm like, it's like 3 something.
What time is it?
Like 6. He's like, I love you. I'm so happy, but just like wake me up at 6. I can't. I'm like, well, I can't go to sleep because I've never seen this in my entire life. I'm like, I want to go buy like 5 more tests just to make sure. And literally, it was very, very hard for me to believe. Like anytime, I mean, this is TMI, but like anytime I went to like the bathroom, I would take another pregnancy test, and he's like, you're not going to lose the baby by going to the bathroom. But I was just like, it just was such a surreal thing for me, because it's just, I had never in like the 15 years of trying had I ever seen a positive pregnancy test. And I was just like, God, is this real? Like, and I think I felt like that for a while through the first 3 months, before my life was rocked.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, so first 3 months were like, peeing on all of the sticks and, all of the things.
Mm-hmm.
And now at 20 weeks, we have our anatomy scan.
Mm-hmm.
We're starting to settle in. We're in that, sweet phase of like, hey, we got past first trimester, everything. And then Jen, you found out that Brooklyn had a congenital heart defect. Can you share what that moment was like and how you kind of prepared for what was ahead?
Yeah, well, that moment was the moment where it shook me to my core. I remember laying there, and I could tell by the nurses, like when she was scanning me, that something was wrong. And my husband's a jokester, and he's like, oh, she's stubborn like her mom. And I'm like hitting him. I'm like, shut up. I'm like, something's wrong. Like, I felt it. And he was just trying to make light of the situation. Yeah. And she's like, I'll be right back. I'm going to go talk to the doctor. She's like, if you want, go get some water. The baby's in a position they can't really see like her heart really well. And I'm like, does she have the 4 chambers of the heart? Because I had tried to like TikTok on what I should look for on a 20-week anatomy scan, because I'm like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. So they were like, yeah, she has the 4 chambers. So I was like, okay, so like, we're good. Like, what could it be? And then the doctor finally came in, and then he's like, listen, she's kind of guarding her heart. She always would have her arms like here. And on my Instagram, I actually have a picture of the ultrasound, a 3D ultrasound of her hands like this. And she was always covering her heart. And I remember him saying, he's like, listen, you need to go see a specialist and do a fetal echo. And I was like, do you want me to just come back? Because maybe it's just she's positioned incorrectly, and you just need me to come at another time. I think it was 19 weeks instead of 20. And he's like, no, something's wrong. And I remember he left the room, and I just like lost it. And my husband like grabbed my arms, and he's like, Jen, he's like, if you can just do me one favor, he's like, just take this as another punch. And he's like, and we're going to get back up, and everything's going to be okay. Like, we don't know what it is. Let's just like stay strong in this. Like, God's got this. Like, we're okay. And I was like, okay, and we went to see another specialist, and then they were talking about that she might need a heart transplant and all of this. And in 2021, I lost my dad and my brother back to back in 3 months. And my dad had needed a lung transplant, and I knew like it had to be a specific size, a specific blood type. And I was just like, what are the chances of her surviving? Like, to me, I already like was like gut wrenched. I'm like, this is crazy. And I remember going home from that appointment, before we scheduled a second opinion with Columbia and CHOP Hospital in Philadelphia. And my husband, we had never had this conversation before, because you just think that you don't ever really have to have a conversation. I was like, whatever it is, I'm like, we're going to get through it. And I was like, I'm on board. You know, I think like I have to believe in the power of prayer and miracles, and everything's going to be okay. So I'm like, we'll get through this. So then we went to the second opinion in Columbia, and when we went there, they're like, oh, we found a valve. They were like, the valve that was missing. She has pulmonary atresia with, I forgot the exact like diagnosis they gave her.
No,
but
you're good.
so
and to be fair, those words are very, very long.
yeah. Yeah, it was pulmonary atresia with, there was something else attached to her diagnosis, but they were like, it's like the Olympian Shaun White. She can operate on a single ventricle. So I was just, I told my husband, I'm like, you know what's so crazy? I'm like, if you would have told us this first, we probably would have been devastated. But I walked out of there so happy, because I was like, oh my God, they found the valve. Like, she's going to be okay. Like, it's going to be really hard before it gets better, but it's going to be okay. And we went to Columbia first, and then CHOP found the same thing. And I just asked them, I'm like, why should I pick this hospital? Like, I wanted to know like why we should come here, because the commute was long from Brooklyn to Philly all the time. But it was rated like the best, hospital for children with heart disease and heart conditions. And they were like, I believe your daughter has more than a fighting chance. And they were just, I remember the physician looked me straight in the eye and said that. And I was like, I want to come here. Like, I'm going to make the commute. We're going to make the commute. Like, this is it. Even though my husband, we had already planned to name our daughter Brooklyn from the beginning. He's like, how are we going to name our daughter Brooklyn? And she's going to be born in Philly. Like, is this Brooklyn, That was like the biggest, thing. But that's how everything happened with the heart condition.
Yeah. Yeah. Jody, your experience with that positive test, you were like in it. Oh my gosh, here we go. And then throughout the pregnancy, how was going from, like you said, it was 10 years of just ups and downs, and now all of a sudden this reality has happened. How was that as you were just navigating all of those next steps?
You know what people have never talked about, and I experienced this. I think at like my 9-week first real OB appointment, I was feeling like very sad. And I was like, why am I feeling this way? Because I'm like very positive person, always happy. So I was like, I should be so happy right now. And I had a friend who went through donor conception, and she's like, it's the fertility drugs. Like, once you stop taking all that progesterone and stuff, like the clouds are going to lift and you're going to feel so much better. And she was so right. But I was like, why do I telling my husband, like, you need to pray over me. Like, does not feel right. And now I'm like, was that a foreshadowing? But you start overthinking things. But I had a very peaceful, easy, great pregnancy. No problems, barely felt sick. Like, I felt great, like very at peace, because we tested our embryos. I thought I was carrying a healthy embryo that was 5AA graded, all of that.
Sure.
When you go through fertility and you get both biological parents tested with all the genetic testing, and then you test your embryo and it's healthy, you think like, wow, I'm carrying a healthy baby. You don't think that something is going to show up later.
Yeah,
so
for sure. For sure. So tell me about the day for both of you when you both got to meet Mateo and Brooklyn. I know, Jody, you had this peaceful pregnancy. Jen, you guys are, frequent drivers from here, there, and everywhere throughout your pregnancy. What were those days like whenever it's delivery day? It's time to meet, these precious babies.
Well, for me, they did find something wrong at like 28 weeks. So they were like, something doesn't look right. I think there's something genetically wrong. And I was like, how is that possible? I had my embryo tested, and the doctor, she didn't have really great bedside manner, but she was like, those are just screenings. So we had an amnio at 28 weeks.
Oh, wow.
and my amnio came back normal. So I went ahead and had
Which,
my
by the
baby
way,
shower.
if I can just interject, the amnio, I mean, I had an amnio at 21 weeks, I think, or 20 weeks. That is the most scariest procedure to have done. And to be 28 weeks, Jody, my hat goes off to you, because it is just.
The doctor was like, I don't usually do amnios at 28 weeks. So he was like, I could tell he was just like very nervous and tense, like tense during it. But yeah, it came back normal. So I was like, okay, maybe he just needs more, like maybe it's my placenta, right? As an older mom, they say your placenta can start, it's like a battery that kind of, isn't working as well towards the end. So I'm like, oh, okay, he's going to be like, he just needs to catch up. But they were saying that his brain, his cerebellum, was looking smaller. So we had an idea, but then he started filling with fluid at 33 weeks. So they admitted me. And so I was in the hospital for 2 days, and they're like, we need to take him out because he's now conserving energy and he's like not moving. So I knew in my C-section when he was going to be delivered that I wasn't going to be able to like hold him.
Yeah.
He had to be ventilated because he couldn't breathe on his own. So, for like the first day, I was afraid to like even go see him in the NICU. And my doctor was amazing. She's like, you need to go see your baby. Like I saw him get like wheeled away. Like my husband got to cut the umbilical cord, but I didn't get to hold him. And I was like, just so scared I think to bond with him. So we didn't get to hold him until the day we had to say bye to him. And so like I couldn't really like see his face well because he had all the tubes and all of that, So eventually when they did take the breathing tube out and I could see his face, I was like so happy. Like so sad that I knew he was going to be passing, but so happy to see his face and just like in awe of him. So that was like my experience. Yeah.
How did you navigate going from joy, peace? Now we're, hey, there's something here we don't quite know. Because I feel like it becomes so medical at that point, as it should, but it becomes so, we need to do this, and you're just kind of like, okay, and then you don't actually really get to feel what's happening in that moment. How did you navigate going from all of that to he's here, and now it's all that just blip of time of he's here, but all of this other stuff is happening?
It was a whirlwind because they wanted to see how he presented himself after he was born. So they were never like from the beginning, like he's not going to make it. So we were like, what is happening? Like, how is he doing? And they would give us updates. But then they just said, okay, now his brain is filling with fluid and we were trying to get him off the ventilator and he's not, like, he can't breathe on his own. So, we were just, you're like in shock, you're just like what the heck just happened?
Yeah.
So you're like in not in denial, but you're just like, did that just happen? Like that? Like it feels like it's like you're like, it's like an out of body experience. So that's can't believe it.
We'll jump back into the episode in just a second. But if you've ever thought about doing something meaningful for someone else, keep listening. At Egg Donor and Surrogate Solutions, we've spent the last 18 years working with women who choose to be part of something bigger than themselves. By becoming egg donors, they help intended parents take one of the most important steps towards having a child. It's not just generous, it's life-changing. And if you're healthy, between the ages of 21 and 28, and curious about how it all works,
We'd love to connect. You can download our egg donor guide or set up a quick 15-minute call at createahappyfamily.com. Our agency's promise is to guide and support you every step of the way, including fair compensation for the time and commitment to your egg donor cycle, as you promise to give a parent the greatest gift one can give, a child of their own. You might be the missing piece in someone's family's story. Now, let's get back to the show.
Jen, your experience is slightly different in you knew there was something that you knew delivery, there were going to be things that needed to be taken care of, with Brooklyn afterwards. Yeah. How did you head into delivery day knowing, okay, yes, delivery day, we're so excited. And we also know there's, we have some things we're going to be battling afterwards.
I feel like I mentally prepared myself to see her with wires and tubes. And so I was really excited. I was actually, to be quite honest, I was more nervous about the C-section for me, because I was just like, do you have everything you need for me in case something goes wrong? Because I just felt everything has been like, I just was like, she's in the best care. Yeah. She's has a million prayers behind her. The doctors are the best in the world. I'm like, we're good, and we just mentally prepared ourselves to see like it was going to be really bad before it looks good. So the whole, even like I love talking about my C-section because it was perfect. And just like Jody too, my pregnancy, I wasn't sick, nothing. I mean, aside from the trauma of finding out she was ill, other than that, it was a perfect pregnancy and my delivery was perfect. Yeah, I threw up a little bit, but I think I was just like also excited, the nerves, like everything,
Sure.
But they allowed me to have like a worship song being played in the background. And it was to me like such a precious moment, like this miracle that I prayed for so long. And I remember when they held her up, she was blue. She almost looked black because she was so, the umbilical cord was wrapped around her neck twice. And I was actually really a little bit scared because I'm like, I didn't hear her cry when she came out. It was just like here, and like they showed her and they took her away because I knew, again, I wasn't going to have her laid on my chest. Like I knew I wasn't going to have any of that either. But I was just like, I couldn't believe that she was here. I remember I always thought she was going to have like this really big nose because of all the ultrasound pictures. Her nose was like this big, but it was like the perfect little cute little button nose. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I just wanted to see her again. I remember they rolled me back to my room after like they tightened me up and they did whatever they needed to do to her, gave her the medicine, put her, like the breathing tubes on it, everything on her. And they wheeled her in. They wheeled her in for like 2 minutes. And my mom was in the room. My sister was in the room. Everyone got to see her. Nobody could touch her. But I did get to like put my hand like in hers. And it was just like, it was such a beautiful moment. And I think I was still too like, the medicine and everything. I was so groggy.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe that I had her. And speaking with friends who had kids, I remember them telling me like when they were pregnant, do you feel the connection? And like, I felt like it was such a hard battle for me, and feeling that I was pregnant and knowing I was pregnant, I didn't really like have that until I saw her. And then I realized like when they wheeled her away from me, I'm like, oh my God, like I need to be with her. I was like, I just want to be with her. And I realized at that moment that I'm like, I always had the connection, but it wasn't what I thought like that feeling was, but I guess I just always had it. I just didn't know it was there. So to me, I mean, the first 2 days was fantastic, because even the second day they wound up taking off all of the wires, everything. And I had her take like her little outfit I had picked out for her going home. And they allowed me to take a picture, even though she still had to be like they had like IVs in her and like her feet. So they kind of like covered it. So I had a good picture of her. And after that second day, it was all downhill. But I mean, I was so grateful for those 2 days. I never, like, I long for, like, I wish I would have had, skin to skin. I never had any of that. And like that, like, yeah. So that was my, yeah. She was perfect though.
Yes, she was perfect with a perfect nose.
She was perfect.
So you had those beautiful 2 days. What what happened after that?
After that, I remember I thought everything was I was like, this is great. I was just like, she is off of she was taking a bottle, she was pooping, everything was, I was just like, we're gonna go home. Like, she's gonna go home. And before the last fetal echo, the head cardiologist told us that she was probably not going to have open heart surgery until 6 months after, based on the last, scan. He's like, things could change, but he's like, he doubts that it would change drastically. He's like, I don't think we'll do it like within the first week, because it was either wait 6 months or do it right away. But they said that they would let us know. But after that last scan, he was like, it's looking like we're going to do it in 6 months, which made me feel better, even though I was a little nervous, being able to have to take her home and like monitor her oxygen levels and do all that. But I was like, you know what? We're going to prepare ourselves for that. I remember the third day I went to go take a shower, and my husband comes up because he was with the baby, and he was just like, the surgeon just came up to me and told me that she's slotted for open heart surgery on Friday. And I was like, well, he can't just do that, because we need to be like a family and we need to have this discussion. And how it, like, I was just, no, I'm like, we need to have a conversation. So they wound up scheduling us time that day. And I remember it was a surgeon I had never met before. And I just had so many questions. I was like, is she young? Like, is she too young to have this surgery? Because I had her at 37 weeks. And I was like, is she strong enough? I felt like I wish that somebody was with me there who didn't go through what I went through and just was like an advocate for me and for like my baby, and letting me know like options, in the sense of like, can we delay the surgery? Like, is this the best, decision and choice to move like forward with? Because like looking back, I mean, that's a whole other conversation, but so then I was like, I guess we have to trust God and trust the doctors. And she was slated for open heart surgery. They had to do a CAT scan before. I remember them telling me after she had the surgery that Friday that she was like showing off, but like seeing your baby sedated before and intubated, and seeing them cry, like a silent cry. She never opened her eyes, ever. And my husband was like, that was probably for like, for our sake too, like that you didn't see like the insides of like her soul. But just to see her like cry but not speak because she was sedated, like broke me to pieces. I felt like I was doing something wrong. And they took her, and they told me like, oh, she's showing off. We went to see her. And I was just like, she looks dead. She looked completely, she was a different color. She was different colors every day because of the oxygen levels and, the things that were happening to her. But she was still so perfect for me. Like, I would do anything to have my sick baby back, But I remember that Saturday night, she started having brain bleeds, because I think everything triggered was because of the open heart surgery. And it was like failing. It was going like up and down the levels. My husband had his 2 kids with us for the weekend. And I was like, you need to get here now. After like her second seizure, I was like, you need to. And the thing is, you couldn't even see it because she was sedated and paralyzed, were the words that they were telling us. And I was like, you need to come here. And like, we were praying so much. And like, she finally got stable that night, because the surgeon came to us again saying that they need to open her chest up even further. And I was just like, I don't even know if this is okay. Like, I just even asked, I remember asking the doctors and the nurses, I'm like, why do you allow people, like parents, to see this? Like, and they were like, a lot of parents think that we don't do enough, so they like allow them to like see this. And I'm like, for me, I'm like, if you pumped me with that much medication, if you opened my heart like that, and I'm like, I would die. So like, I didn't feel like the same way, but my sister was telling me, she was like, Jen, she's like, that if you weren't there, you would feel a different way too. So I'm like, you're right. I remember we had like, we had her baptized that night, and she was stable, and I kind of had hope, but I was really struggling with my faith that night because I was like, I felt like every time I like pray really hard, something happens. Like when I lost my dad and my brother, I was like, God, please. So I kind of just like, I prayed like an inner prayer, but kind of like left it like dormant because I was kind of scared to go deep. And they said, please stay in the sleep suite that we have. Just sleep for a couple hours. We'll call you if anything happens. And I didn't want to leave her, but they were like, you need to be able to be strong for her when she's okay. Like, that's what they kept on saying. They never once made it seem like she was going to die. It was just like, I was like, okay, so this is like the really dark part, you know? And I remember we were sleeping on this little cot. I mean, I'm 4 days past C-section. Me and my husband are on this little cot together. And I remember waking up like after 2 hours, like, or 3 hours with completely drenched in sweat. And I was like, babe, I'm like, something's happening. Like something's, he's like, nothing's happening. I'm like, something's happening. Like, I feel it like in my soul. Like he's like, they said that they would call us. 5 minutes later, we get the call. They were like, you need to come. So we just walked right outside the door and they were resuscitating her. Like it's already been like, this is like the 7th time. And the nurse was just like, they're like walking me through everything that they're doing as we're watching them perform this on her. And they were like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, just stop. I was like, just stop. I'm like, you're hurting her. I'm like, you're killing her. I'm like, just stop. And they were like, do you want to hold her? And I was like, yes. And they gave me her and they took off all the wires on her here, but they kept her heart monitor on. And you literally saw like her heartbeat go to 0. And she died in my arms, which was really hard for me in the beginning to process, to be able to like lose my daughter like that. And I was like, the trauma. But then I was like, you know what? I want to change my narrative and be able to say like, I ushered her into heaven. She went from like my arms to God's, and she wasn't in like someone else's hands. She was in mine, you know? Would I do anything to have her back? Yes. You know, but if I have to look at like the positive side of that, is like I had an opportunity that most people don't get. So, yeah.
I can't even begin to imagine the pain of those early days. How did you both navigate that type of loss in just those beginning weeks?
Yeah. I think me and Jen, we both come from like a faith-based background. So that really helped us to be as strong as we could be. Plus like having amazing husbands to support us. I just had the worship music on like the whole time I was in the, you know, before I had my C-section, during my C-section. The charge nurse that was taking care of me before my C-section, when I was there for a couple of days, came into my surgery room. And I thought she was going to help with the surgery. And she was like, no, honey, I saw you walk in here and I'm here to pray for you. So God just like showed up when I needed him most. And she prayed for me in the C-section room, and all the women in the room just let us have that moment. And so I really feel like my faith and my husband's faith, and just us staying super close together and looking at it like he's happy and healthy in heaven and he's not here suffering, because we would not want him to be here and not have a good quality of life. So we were like thankful for the experience of getting pregnant, being pregnant, having our baby shower, like experiencing like being pregnant together and being able to like meet him. But so we were trying to be positive. Like, what are we grateful for? The gratitude of just like meeting him and like having that experience. Yeah, there's so many women never experienced. Like, I tried to get pregnant for 10 years. So I was like, just so happy to like just experience like pregnancy. But all of our family and friends were so supportive and like just flooded us with like gift cards and flowers and dinners and you know, my church community like brought this beautiful basket with like, you know, all the things, so we didn't have to like think about anything. And then like I work at a salon, so all the salon girls put together like a basket too of like a spa day, and like, you know, everybody just poured into us. I work at a salon, so I work with women every day sitting in my chair, like doing eyebrows. And so I went back to work pretty quickly because I was like, I need to get back to my normal. So I think I only took like 3 weeks off, and I emailed all my clients like, come see me with a happy face, and like, I don't want to talk about anything, like just come. And they would bring flowers and just cry. Some of them would just cry in my chair because they didn't know what to say to me. So that was very hard to see, like, everybody's so happy and so like, wow, you took this long to get pregnant and you're pregnant, like so happy for us. And then to see each woman come into my salon and sit in my chair and just be like, so sad. So that was hard. That's hard to see like people that you love so sad for you. Like that was like very hard for me personally, I think. You just feel like you're already like, you kind of feel like shameful that you had to use an egg donor. And then you feel shameful that you're like, I was 44. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like an old mom. You feel like embarrassed. And then when it doesn't work out and it's not successful, you're like, you feel like so embarrassed and like shameful. Like I failed my husband to make him a father, you know? So you go through, it's just like a lot of back and forth. And I just would pray and be like, no, like I am enough. Like I did the best that I could. I did everything that I could and I gave it my best, you know? And I just tried to say, what would you tell your best friend? And that's the way you need to talk to yourself. So that's how I got through it.
How did you let's go back to that word of shame, because I think there is a lot of shame and heartache and, you know, just the unanswered question of why me, why this, why just on the road of infertility in general. And then there can be that feeling of so much shame around, you know, my body is supposed to do this. I have all of the things that make it where I'm supposed to do this. And now I am in a situation where I'm looking at donor eggs and the just having to grapple with that choice, or, you know, even, you know, women and families that are like, my body's supposed to do this and I can't. And I'm now relying on another woman to carry my baby, you know, if that's the route that you take. And just, how did you navigate that internal battle that you were having? And then you're dealing with your own grief. And then you were saying you're kind of taking on almost everyone else's grief as well. How are you navigating just that wave of emotion?
Yeah. I mean, for me, because my amnio came back normal.
Right.
They have a new test where they take your amniotic fluid and do a whole exome sequencing. So we didn't get those results probably like 4 weeks after Mateo passed. So as a woman, you think, was it my body? My body did not perform. It lacked. You know, you blame yourself as a woman because your body's not doing what it's supposed to do. And now your baby passed away. So obviously, like, it was your fault. So we got the results back that he had a duplication on chromosome number 1. So I guess it's just very rare. They can't find it in an amnio. They can't find it with PGT testing.
Yeah.
It's just being hit with lightning is what they told me. This is not going to happen to you again, Jody. Your body did everything that it was supposed to do. And you could do this again. If you're too traumatized, you could have a surrogate and have, you know, someone else carry. But yeah, just like eventually when you're like able to talk about it, people are like, well, are you going to do this again? Are you gonna get a surrogate? I'm like, I don't need a surrogate. My body did what it was supposed to do. my body's fine. But, you know, it's hard for everybody to process because they think it's like your body. Like, what do you know, it's genetically, like, you had an amnio, it's normal. So it's like mind-blowing confusion.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot to take on.
Mm-hmm.
Jen, what about you? I know Brooklyn's Day was this year, her birthday.
Mhm.
How are those early days of grief, and how has it evolved since then?
I feel like I'm still walking through it.
Yeah.
But I remember when I first lost her, first of all, I think the hospitals need to be very educated in how to deal with women after a loss, because it's kind of just like, do you want her stuff in a box? Okay, we can validate your parking, and then you just walk away without your daughter. And after you've just been there, and like, it was
wow.
a very shocking experience, and just walking through that was very hard. But we had a huge community of support around us when people found out. But I just remember that you know, when I lost my dad, my brother, and even my marriage, I kind of blamed God, but I clung to him so much this time because I felt like I needed him in order to like breathe, like truly just breathe through this. And I remember that the one thing I wanted to find was women who have walked through this, and women who were my age, and women who didn't have previous kids. Not that one loss doesn't mean like, you know, it doesn't negate, you know, like the fact that it still probably hurts just as much. But I just wanted to know someone who walked through like what I walked through. And I remember Victoria had seen my post, and she reached out to me, and she was like, what do you need? And I'm like, I need someone. Like, I just need someone who's walked through this. And so she, I guess, put a blast on her Instagram, and she had a bunch of people that messaged her and gave her like, you know, contact information. And she said Jody was one of the first. And I don't know why I gravitated to that name. And I was like, I'm going to reach out to her. And after talking to her, I was just like, there was a reason why, you know, we connected, and for more than just the loss of our children. And I can see that like now. But I knew like I needed to know that I could survive this. Because I wasn't like Jody in the sense of like she had to go back to work. I'm like, how am I gonna go back to work? You know, I remember telling her, I'm like, I need like my time. Like I honestly just didn't know how it was gonna function, because I was like, God, you know, like I accepted the fact that like I had to like wait this long. I accepted the fact that I had to use donor eggs. I accepted the fact she was gonna have a heart condition. Like, and then like she's gone, you know, like I knew it was going to be a difficult path, but I could not understand why she was taken. And I still don't understand, but I know that some things are left to be not understood. And we won't have answers for things. And I think our response to situations in our life are what brings people to know Christ. Faith is such a huge part of like who I am. And like the more that I've gone through this is truly, I feel like, the reason, you know, to know that like there is hope, and that grief, joy, and hope can coexist. And I know that like I also found a foundation online through Instagram when I was looking through just like support, which was I don't know if you've ever heard of them. It's Walk With You. They're a nonprofit, and I met Kylie. And what they do is they help you, because, you know, as a first mom, and then a mom going through postpartum, and then a grieving mom that no longer has a child in her arm, there's so many decisions that have to be made, from funeral arrangements to the headstone, and to like all these things. And they literally like take that information and they do everything for you. Like she literally like walks with you. She was a nurse. She was a NICU nurse, and she dealt so much with like loss, and she wanted to be there for women like us who have lost, you know, children. And she's created this amazing nonprofit, and because of her, like they also connect you with other bereaved parents for the first year. So I had that done too. And then also too, if you're interested, you can give them your family's phone numbers along with your friends' phone numbers, your closest people to you. And they have like a talk with them, kind of like the do's and don'ts to say. And like, cause there's so much sometimes that, you know, people say that sometimes are very like hurtful and they don't even know they're being hurtful. And so it was really great to like have them, and like they don't even have they never had a conversation with me in what was hurtful to me or not. They just had, I guess, you know, it's from situations that have happened before. They kind of have a conversation about it. And honestly, that organization changed my life. And then diving into the Brooklyn Zoe Foundation and opening, I wanted to do something that kept her alive. And I haven't really done much with it yet. But it was my way of like, I told my husband the other day, we had like made sweatshirts, and I was like, I asked him to like walk with me. He was like, I have so much to do. I'm like, you have to understand that this is like her birthday. Like I'm doing something for her birthday. Like I'm taking her to a cheerleading game. Like these are the things that are helping me like keep her alive. And yeah, so like doing things like that. And I wish I could be more in it. I've like dabbled. So I'm trying to be more active in the foundation and really like running with it, because I want to be there for women who are walking through this, who feel like they're alone and they don't know who to turn to, and like do the calls that they don't want to do at the moment, like, and to, you know, lift that burden for them that they're carrying at the current moment, you know?
Yeah.
That's an awesome foundation that you found, because I would have loved to have had that. Because I had my whole nursery done and I didn't want to see anything in there. I wanted to return everything. I was like, I'm not doing this again. Like, and why I thought I had to do that immediately was torture, because I would literally take my baby stuff to like Target or like Amazon, and they would turn me away because I didn't have the right receipt. So after feeling like rejection of like being a mother, because my baby just went to heaven, now you have to go back, turn around, go back to your car with your baby stuff. You can't return it here. And so I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, this is torture. So then I just put everything in like bins and like, so I didn't see it and put it away. But I really like a foundation like that, because I would call baby lists, because that's who I registered with. And I was like, my baby passed. What do I do with all this stuff? And they didn't even know how to help me. I'm like, you need someone to come to the house, itemize everything, and hand a grieving mother a check. Like,
I mean, something.
So that when she's ready, she can go buy, and she wants to do it again, she can go buy all the things she needs for her baby. But they couldn't help me. So that's another thing that grieving mothers need is help.
Yeah.
It's those little things though. You're so right. I was talking to her name's Kristen McQuaid, and she has it's called London is the Reason. And she was talking about how those first days before she came home from the hospital, her sister had gone into her house and had packed up everything. And then the second thing that she did was she got rid of all the white flowers. She was like, I want color. I don't want white flowers. That was her thing. She you know, talk about like little things to say or not say. Like that was one of her things. She was like, do not give someone white flowers when they've lost their baby. Give them color. Give them vibrant color. And I've always that always stuck with me. But you're so right. It's those little things that you don't think about, and then all of a sudden you're hit with all of it at once. Jen, I know you said you didn't even know how you were going to breathe the next day, let alone go back to work. What has kept you going? How were you able to kind of one foot in front of the other move forward?
Well, for me, I mean, aside from God just giving me the strength to do it. I remember the first month after losing Brooklyn, after talking to my therapist, it was just really, really heavy for me. And when we had the burial and everything, I felt like I was not only burying my daughter, I felt like I was burying my dream that I've like longed for so long. And losing my dad, I thought I was like, it's so crazy how you just compare the things in your life. Like when I lost my marriage, I thought that was the biggest thing. I was just like, oh my God, this is so like heart-wrenching. And then when I lost my dad, I'm like, this is so much harder losing someone that loved me and I loved than losing someone who didn't love me, right? And then losing my daughter, I was like, why does this hurt more than my dad that I've had memories with like forever? And it's just because it's like all these like dreams and plans that you had. And my therapist was like, Jen, she's like, you don't have to grieve both. She was like, you can grieve your daughter, but like you still have an opportunity to, because I have one embryo left. And when she told me that, you know, like age is it's a big factor for me and it plays like a major part. And I get like so angry that I'm like, why? Like if I was like 35, you know, I could be like, let's do it again and again and again, you know, but I feel like time is like not on my side, you know. So I say all that to say what's kept me going is the hope of the ability to have again. Because I love my job and I love the people I work with, but the only title I've ever wanted was mom. And I know I have that title, but I know it's been hard for me too to sometimes like feel like a mom, like my body feels like a mom because I mean, I have all the extra weight and everything that comes with motherhood. I have it, but I don't have a baby in my arms to show it, you know. I have scars in my heart and in my stomach and in my body. But one thing that Brooklyn like gave to me was like my husband's like, she was born a fighter. Like she was born with her arms tied behind her back and just fighting like punch after punch. And I'm like, and she gave me the strength to like fight again. I'm like, I don't know when, I don't know. I feel like once you're in this IVF journey, like you kind of like, you always say like next time's going to be like, that's it. Like, I'm not going to do this again. And then you just find yourself like in it again because it's like, it's just what you want. I'm here and I'm hopeful. I'm like believing for a miracle. I still have fight in me. And I know I just turned 44. But I don't know. I just have hope and I have faith and I feel like all of that can coexist. And I feel like that is what kept me going this year because I was just like, if I could just get through this year, like this first year of her being gone. But I feel like having God and having faith and having hope has allowed me to come this far.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. And wow. One of the things, you know, after hearing all of this, you know, and we kind of have touched on it, there is still, I think, so much stigma around using donor eggs and even more silence, I think, around infant loss. What do you wish people understood better about your stories?
Well, for me, I can say one of the biggest things I think that affected me and Jody, I don't know if you feel like this. I feel like you might feel differently than me. But I still want to hear my daughter's name. I still want to talk about her. I still want to know that I had a great pregnancy. And I feel like they're almost like when your baby dies, I feel like the world thinks that like because she died, like your story of motherhood dies, like your everything, you just become silenced. And I hate that. And I remember being out with my friend the other day in New York, and we were with this mom who just had a baby, and she was like talking about like, you know, her pregnancy and how she felt connected. And then my friend was talking and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to chime in because I'm probably going to make her feel uncomfortable, but I had a pregnancy too. And I had those feelings too. And yes, she's not here, but like, that was like a hard thing for me to swallow. Cause like going back to work too, it's like, people are like, one of the main questions is every time I would go to like a different boutique to open up, they would be like, oh, how many kids do you have? And before I was just like, oh, I have 2 stepkids. And I'm like, no, I have a baby in heaven and I have 2 beautiful bonus kids. And it's all the way you say it too, right? Like I'm not making it like, oh, she just died in January, you know, it's like, that's really heavy. And I get that, but I'm like, I had her, she was real. And I just feel like, you know, I feel like society makes us quiet, or like we have to be quiet, when in reality, like if it makes someone uncomfortable, like I'm sorry, but like she was real, she was mine. Like I want to talk about her. Like I know I don't have birthdays to talk about, but one of the things with the organization, the nonprofit, when I was talking to that girl Kylie, she was like, after we got off the phone and I had told her my story, she's like, Jen, she's like, if you feel comfortable enough, I would love to see pictures of her. I'm like, nobody had ever asked me to like see a picture of my daughter. And it gave me so much joy because I never had like those things that you long for as a mom to like be able to do, like all of that was robbed from us. So when you have someone who understands the process and like is just like, hey, like it, to me, like I just like, I love being able to say Mateo's name to Jody. You know what I mean? Like he was real. He was a person. He had a social security card. He had a birth certificate. Like, you know, unfortunately we get the birth and the death all at one time, but they were real to us. And I just, you know, I wish like, that's one thing that like, I just wish was seen differently, is that, you know, to make it easy to talk about. I mean, I guess, you know, too, some people are different. Maybe they don't want to, and they want to push that aside. But for me, I'm like, after longing for something for so long, she was so real to me. You know, she was a person. She was my daughter. She made me a mom. So yeah.
You're so strong, Jen, for like, when people ask you that you say, I have a baby in heaven, you know, because at first I was like, well, what do I say when people ask me that? Right? Like you don't know what to say. You don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. So like usually when people ask me, I say no. I don't have kids because they're not like here with me, I guess. But my best friend gave me a jean jacket at my baby shower that has Mateo's name on it. And it's like my favorite jacket.
Love that.
And I wear it all the time. And I remember like soon after Mateo passed, I wore it to like a doctor's appointment. And one of the nurses like, oh my God, I love your jacket. It's so cute. Like, who's Mateo? And I was like, that's my baby. And I told her like he just passed away. And the look on her face, she was like, of course she didn't know. She didn't know, you know, but she was like embarrassed and she felt like, oh my God, like I can't believe I just asked her that, but she didn't know. And I said, if I didn't want people to ask, I wouldn't wear this jacket. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And then I was like, thank you for like loving my jacket. And like on our baby's first birthday, I got my Mateo tattooed on me, and I don't have any tattoos. So I felt like I needed something of him on me. So we have that. And then my husband just got his name here. And so when he wears V-neck t-shirts, you can really see it. And I love seeing it all the time. And people will ask him and he will say, oh, that's like my baby, you know, our baby we had. And he got like a tattoo of a lion and a tattoo of a soldier. Like it's all like a representation of Mateo. And so, cause me and Jen have this in common, but in our delivery room, we had the song Gratitude by Brandon Lake in the delivery room. And that's something that we share too. We're like soul sisters, in that way. But, and it has, you have a lion in your heart, or what is it? A lion in your lungs, right, Jen? That's what it says. Yeah. And so my husband wanted to get like a lion tattooed on him, and a soldier, cause he's like a warrior in heaven. And so like you do all these things to try to keep their memory alive. And so like, that's kind of like what we've done.
Yeah. That's amazing. And I think it's beautiful that I think one thing about grief is there's no right or wrong way to navigate it. Yeah. And I think one of the things that I love so much about y'all's stories is how you celebrate Mateo and how you celebrate Brooklyn, and because, you know, whether it's a tattoo, a gorgeous jacket, or a beautiful foundation that has her name, it's a celebration of them. And I mean, who doesn't want to celebrate their baby? Everybody does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How has definition of motherhood changed through this journey, the whole journey, from the 10 and 15 years of just trying to get that positive to, you know, being mom with angel babies? How has that changed?
I mean, for me, I had Mateo in April, so soon after it was Mother's Day. So everybody was texting me like Happy Mother's Day and like giving me like little, you know, says with his name on it, and, you know, sweet things like that. But some people that were very close to me didn't want to tell me Happy Mother's Day because they felt like, well, she's not a mother because her baby passed away. So they felt like they couldn't say Happy Mother's Day because they felt like maybe that would be painful. So, you know, sometimes people don't know what to say, and that's fine, you know. But, you know, after that Mother's Day, no one messages me Happy Mother's Day. You know what I mean? Like, it's been 2 years now. So I'm like, that's totally fine. Like, I know, and my husband knows. So I don't know if I'll ever do it again. I mean, we spent so much money on fertility. I always tell my husband, if we win the lottery, then maybe we'll do a surrogate because we still have 2 embryos. But it's like, we're just getting older, right? And it's like, we don't really have the funds to do that. And so we're just like in limbo right now. So like,
Yeah. I'm hearing what I'm hearing is your definition of motherhood hasn't changed. Maybe for others and how they talk to you, but your mom. Yeah. What about you, Jen?
Honestly, I don't know why I struggle with that so much. Because yes, I'm Brooklyn's mom and I do everything to try to make her like alive with me, but I don't, to be honest, to be completely honest, sometimes I don't feel like one.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard. I feel like I try my best to try to feel like one, but if I could be honest, inside sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's because like our babies are not here for us to like nurture and like mother them, you know? So it's like we have like a memory of them and like they made us a mom in that moment, but we don't have them here to like take care of them, to be a mom too. So I think, yeah, we both struggle with that. And I think that's totally normal.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I think it's so hard to have the title but not have the action steps. And and that's that struggle after and throughout.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. For someone walking through grief right now, what words of hope would you offer?
That you're not alone, that God's with you, that He weeps with you, and that He carries you, and that there's unfortunately, but fortunately, a strong group of women that walk beside you in this, and that you're not alone. There's so many, I hate to say we're part of a club, right? That we don't want to be a part of, but instead it's not a club, it's just a network of women that have walked through this journey. And they're just truly not alone, and grief comes in waves, and it's okay to walk and feel and heal how you need to, but just knowing, I feel like one of the biggest things to feel in all of that is you're not alone.
Yeah, I'm very open too. I feel like a lot of women, they will shut down and they are quiet because they do feel shameful or it just hurts them to talk about. So I think sometimes when I talk about it with women, they're like, "Oh my gosh, is she really talking about this?" You know? Like they're kind of like they don't know what to say, but they're listening. And so I always try to tell like my young girls, my clients, like get educated about your fertility because your OBGYN will tell you how to not get pregnant, but they're not going to talk to you about your fertility. And you need to know, just like you know about your cholesterol and your like whatever it is, like you go to the doctor for everything. You need to know what your fertility is, and don't expect like, I just thought, oh, I need to have a baby before I'm 35. No, you need to know about your fertility in your 20s. You need to know where you're at. You need to be able to make a decision whether you want to freeze your eggs. Like insurance needs to be more on board with helping women do that, preserve their fertility, help them with fertility. Like we're not here trying to get cosmetic surgery. Like we're here to try to grow our family. And if we have a diagnosis, or even if we don't, sometimes it's fertility, you know, they don't understand why. It needs to be covered. So that we're not having to like wait so long and having to get donor eggs and paying all the, it's wild. So I just try to educate like all the young girls that I know.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a beautiful spot to be in, of, you know, Jody, for you being support for, you know, Jen and other women that share this, and then yes, just from that place of, you know, hey, this was my experience, like hear me now, oh young ones, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. What do you want the world to know most about Mateo and Brooklyn?
I mean, for me, I guess would say like I want people to remember Brooklyn by knowing that miracles happen. And regardless of using donor eggs or natural, you know, IVF, whatever, I feel like God is the only giver of life, and she was truly a miracle, regardless of how much medication we're putting in our bodies to try to make this happen. I'm grateful for, I know it might be looked down like, again, like I'm in the boat with Jody, that sometimes you almost feel like shameful, and I love how Victoria speaks about it like in such a natural way, and it's such a beautiful gift, honestly, that a woman can give to someone like us who are struggling and don't have the good quality of eggs that are needed to, you know, have a child. And it is embarrassing sometimes, like for me to like to be able to say it, but like I just want to be able to speak so freely of it, and to it, because she was a miracle, and miracles happen, and she was living proof of it, and she was the strongest fighter that I knew. So that's what I would say.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I know you you said you created the Brooklyn Zoe Foundation, and it's kind of, you know, in those beginning stages, but can you tell us a little bit more about the foundation and just share what that work means to you?
Yes. So I created the foundation for women who are at advanced maternal age undergoing IVF, and for families who have lost their babies, because there are obviously two things that hold very dear to my heart as walking through something. So I launched it for that purpose. So now it's just I'm working through how am I going to create the funds. I really want to partner with We Walk With You, because they, you know, work with the families to help pay for some of the headstones and things like that. And I want to be able to help families like directly, because I want to give people like us hope that, you know, they can still have, and I don't want finances to be in the way, because it is such a heavy burden on us to, I mean, I remember the first I remember the first batch of 8 eggs and only one embryo. I spent $27,000, and for them to tell me one made it, it just like it was gut wrenching. And I'm like, how am I gonna get the funding to like do the, like, this is just absurd and wild and crazy, and am I doing the right thing? And you know, all these questions like come up, but like more than anything, like I just want this foundation to be able to help women in need, even if it's just like a portion of, you know, of just a medicine bill or something that can like take that. And just, you know, like Jody said, how like she wished that somebody could just come in and do like an inventory list and take it back like just something like that if they're in the area, like just to be able to really truly, number one, help women who are grieving, or help women who are currently undergoing, IVF, or help women who are walking into the donor, program, and having like, their eyes open to like this way of, growing your family. Because the one thing that I can say about the donor conception is Brooklyn felt like mine. There was no, when I first saw her, the connection I had with her immediately, like I completely forgot that it was, a donor egg. Like she was my baby girl. She was my miracle. She, I wasn't looking about what features she had that were like close to mine. She was perfect. So yeah.
That's beautiful. I can't thank you both enough for your vulnerability and your openness to share Mateo and Brooklyn with us. You said it best. It's not a club, but that network of people who are part of this. It's the worst network to be a part of. And yet you have these beautiful, strong women like yourselves who are there to let everyone know that you aren't in this alone. And so I thank you both so, so much. I have one last question. And it's a fun one. So, Jen, you and I were chatting earlier, but Coffee and I, we are very codependent. And so I always love to ask the question, what has filled your cup today? Literally or figuratively, what has been the thing that has filled your cup?
Well, speaking to you guys this morning, today, we're talking about today, this filled my cup. It truly did. I know that it's not an easy topic to talk about, but I think there's nothing more beautiful than being able to speak about our children, and to have someone who like truly genuinely wants to hear about it. I feel filled after speaking with you both.
Yeah, I feel the same. Also, when Jen called me before we came on here and she prayed with us, and I was like, that totally filled my cup today. Just to have a sister in Christ. But yeah, just speaking about this, because we feel like if we're gonna go through something like this, like some good has to come out of our pain, which is trying to encourage and empower women and let them know that they're like warriors and they can get through anything, and women are so strong. And so just to have a network like this and a place to talk is amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, thank you both again. And thank you for just everything that you've shared. We're going to definitely have those resources that you guys have each spoken about in our show notes and everything. But again, thank you guys so much for just letting us hear about Brooklyn and Mateo. And I'm so glad that we got to get to know them.